and thank you for joining us for our webinar. 30 minutes now, up in 15 minutes later. We will be giving you a live demo and going over how you can get your clients up and running quickly. Just a quick few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you. It will also be available on our webpage. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Questions tab and go to Webinar. Quick introduction, my name is Erica Adams and I'm a part of the Partner Development team here. My contact information is on the screen. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Presenting today will be Joel Hinton. He is our Partner Success Manager. He works with all of our current partners on helping them with best practices, sales, training, and so forth. And I'm going to hand it over to him.
Thank you, Erica, for that introduction, and thank you guys for spending your afternoon with us today. I know your time is valuable, and I know that making this time is super important to us, so I just want to say thank you. Just to be a good steward of your guys' time, this is going to be between 20 and 30 minutes, so if for any reason you have to jump off the call for any reason, we will be sending you out a recorded version as well. So just to kick things off here, I just want to remind you guys that this is actually a follow-up webinar actually from our webinar that we actually had a month ago, which was the secrets to selling, 5 tips on how to get your clients to say yes to BDR. So with that being the case, we went through 5 best practices that we recommend in using to get your clients to come on board with some type of backup or disaster recovery solution. And one of the 4th tips that we discussed in detail was actually talking about showing and telling the prospect or the client, what backup and disaster recovery actually looks like. After you get some backups and you can actually get them recovered. With that being the case, we talked about going through examples or helping them apply real business situations to the client. We also talked about offering a trial to them so they could test it out internally. And then last but not least, we even talked about how we need to actually show them a demo of how we can actually use the software that we deploy to them to get them back up and running and show them how that works. With that being the case, I always recommend to our partners, we really need to start out with the basics with any prospect or client that we're talking to or trying to provide our services to. One of the biggest challenges I would say that our partners or most people have is just getting their clients to understand the difference between backup and uptime. We really need to simplify into helping the client or the prospect really understand the difference between the two. It's going to help you guys really sell it too. So first and foremost, we kind of want to go through what is backup. Backup is actually simply having a reliable copy of important files, folders, databases, and applications held locally and off-site. It's not too challenging to understand that, but this is where we really need to distinguish between the two here when we actually describe uptime to them. Uptime is really having the resources available to get your systems back up and running. The best way to explain that is to really help them understand that uptime is really giving them the ability to operate with minimum disruption in the event of a critical event, whether it's hardware failure, a flood, maybe a rogue employee pulls the plug or something on a server, or whatever it may be. We need to help them understand the difference between backup versus uptime. So that's critical. If you're able to clearly help your client or your prospect understand the difference between the two, they're going to see the value in uptime versus backup. So how do we partner with our clients today and our partners to provide backup or uptime? Well, actually, with our Servosity lineup, we actually, for backup, we're going to offer our professional software. It's going to give you the ability to back up files, databases, business applications. It allows you to back up locally to the cloud, either or of both. It's truly a hybrid solution. It allows you to do either or. Most commonly, I would say that our partners are using our professional application to back up SQL Exchange, MySQL System, State Active Directory, you name it. Our professional application will back it up from a file level. But once again, that's only backup. It's simply having a reliable copy of important files, folders, and databases or applications held locally and off-site. So it's not uptime. So the next piece that is in the Servosity lineup is our DR server or our desktop product. Now, the nice thing about this is it's actually taking an image of the entire machine. So OS, applications, files, everything. So it's taking a snapshot in real time of that machine. Our DR server product actually gives you the capability to do bare metal recovery to similar hardware. It allows you to do virtual machine recovery. It also allows you to convert those images into some type of virtual machine to get them up and running very quickly. Also, the nice thing about our DR server product, it allows you to take that image and also mount it as a drive letter to pull out individual files and folders. The DR product best correlates to the definition of uptime, which is having the resources available to get your systems back up and running. So when we're able to explain this to our prospect or our client, they'll definitely see the value, whereas backup is simply just having files backed up on and off site, and uptime is going to give you the resources to have you back up and running if a critical event happened. So with that being the case, I know that today we are 30 minutes now, 15 minutes later to get your clients back up and running. So we're going to focus mostly today on the DR server product and how we actually help our partners actually deploy this to their clients to get them up and running. So this is kind of what you're going to need in regards to with our DR server product and how you can actually show your clients what they're going to need to actually get them back up and running. The first thing is that we're going to have you use our DR server product to start the local DR image backup. So biggest thing is that we're going to load the DR server application onto that machine that you're backing up. If it's a virtual machine, same thing. We treat those just as a physical machine, so we would load it on the guest VM, and we would start our local DR image backups to a local destination. It can be a USB drive, it can be a NAS, it can be some type of BDR machine. We give you the flexibility to choose exactly what you'll be backing up to. So in the next piece here, the next thing you're going to need is some type of BDR machine or a desktop with sufficient computing power. Now, realize that you're taking an image-based backup. You're sending those images to a local destination. That local destination is going to be this BDR machine or this souped-up desktop with sufficient computing power. And then last but not least, you're going to need an application that we provide to our partners. There's no cost for it. It's called Oracle VirtualBox. It's a free hypervisor, and on that BDR machine, we're going to actually load that hypervisor on there. What that's going to give us the capability to do is it's going to allow us to take those images that we're storing locally on that BDR machine or that souped-up desktop, use that hypervisor to actually spin up those images that we're taking with our DR server product. So to continue here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into a live demo to show you guys actually how this works in a live environment. This is live, so just to let you guys know, this isn't something that we pre-recorded or anything like that. We're actually going to do this on the fly. So this is exactly what we recommend in how we actually show and tell our clients, and this is actually what you guys will be doing when you actually show to a prospect or a potential client of yours. And also, I'd like to introduce you to one of our senior engineers here at Servosity. His name is Anthony Radice. He's actually going to be walking us through this as well.
Hey guys, this is Anthony. I appreciate that, Joel.
Yeah.
So, looking here, we're looking at the Shadow Protect application. So this is the portion that is doing our DR imaging on the local side. So a couple of things to go over here. Joel's already got a backup set up. This is one of the first things that you're going to do. Just walking through here. You'll notice that this is imaging entire volumes instead of doing those individual files and folders. So looking at this machine, we have the C and the D volume here getting backed up. And then for the local destination, as Joel mentioned, you can have your BDR machine taking these local copies, USB drive and NAS. Completely up to you, completely up to the client and what their budget looks like. In this particular case, we're actually using a USB drive. So once you have your backup set up and you have your snapshots, there's a couple of different things to do. We already have the snapshots here, as you can see those. And then once you go into the snapshots, you can actually right-click on any one of these. You'll see a list or an option that says Virtual Boot. So on your BDR device, you have to have Shadow Protect tools installed, and you have to have the VirtualBox hypervisor that Joel was telling you about. With those two things, you can click on Virtual Boot. You'll see it pops up with a little wizard here. So we'll walk through the wizard just setting up the virtual machine. We'll pick our boot volume. Click Next. We'll name the machine. We'll assign the amount of memory. Click Next, and we'll finish. So here in a minute, this you can see in the background in our storage location that it's creating these virtual machine files. So VirtualBox will go through with Shadow Protect and create these virtual machine files that will allow it to stream. So this is what gives you the ability to boot those images up a lot faster than doing like a thick conversion. So as we're waiting for that, while we're looking in Shadow Protect here, you'll notice a couple of things. There's the restore, so you do have the bare metal capabilities to similar and dissimilar hardware. So for those of you who are going back to a physical machine, you can do that bare metal. I heard Joel mention this before, but the Explore Backup Wizard, also known as the Quick Mount, you can actually mount an image through Shadow Protect as a volume letter in Windows. So you can do your file or folder type restores without having to boot into a virtual machine or without having to do a full-on bare metal to get that one file back or that one folder back. So great time saver there. The other thing in here is the image conversion tool. So it does a couple of things. You can convert this back into a VHD So if you guys are a Hyper-V shop and prefer to use Hyper-V, you can convert it into a VHD. If you're a VMware shop, you can convert into a VMDK, so you can go back into VMware. Typically, I would recommend going with the VirtualBox feature because you don't have that to convert, especially for those of you who are using physical machines. If you're already running a hypervisor, you're probably going to go back and convert into whatever you're currently running. So it looks like our images has been created here, so it's finalizing that. So here in a minute we should see VirtualBox open up our virtual machine. So here's our virtual machine booting up. So we're going to go ahead and start this normally. So during this time, we're going to go ahead and take questions.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for that, Anthony. As our machine boots up here, we do have questions coming through. What we're going to do is we're going to be answering these questions through the GoToWebinar control panel. Just to let you know, if for any reason we do not answer the questions on the webinar today, we will actually email you answers to those questions. So we appreciate your patience. And as these questions come in, we actually have our team actually responding to you via email and through the GoToMeeting webinar control panel to answer those questions for you guys as well. And as this machine boots up here, as you're going to see is, and Anthony will talk a little bit more about this, but it's actually going to pull up the machine that we're actually on today. So we'll go ahead and type in the Windows password here. And one of the other things that I want to tell you guys is this. So what we're doing here is not very complicated, but it is very powerful if you're able to show this to the prospective clients or partners that you guys are talking to, just to give them an idea what true uptime really looks like. If a piece of hardware were to fail, as you can see, we're getting a virtual machine up and running very quickly to get them back working and operating as normal until you get a new piece of hardware in there, or until you guys get things fixed with that piece of hardware, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this, Joel. You know, a lot of our partners are doing one of two things. They're either putting these BDR boxes on site and using them not only as the BDR box, but as the storage location as well, so it kind of doubles there. But also, you know, maybe building one of these for maybe every 10 clients, and then charging them a premium fee to rent or use your box during the time of the disaster. So, you know, not only are you able to get your client up and running faster, but maybe it's an extra revenue booster, you know, for you to make a little extra money as well.
Exactly. Yeah, Anthony, I appreciate you bringing that point in there too. And what I would say is this: you're right. A lot of our partners today, they're using our DR server product, and they're actually backing up to, you know, some type of storage device that they already have or already purchased, or the client already has. So whether that's an external USB drive or a NAS, that's great. But the nice thing about this is if you want to build in-house some type of machine, a BDR or anything like that, and you know, a lot of our partners call it like a BDR on a cart. You would be able to drive it over to the clients in a downtime scenario, and that's going to give you the capability to take these images that are stored locally and boot them up. in 15 minutes or less.
And so as you guys can see here, the machine has fully booted. You'll notice in the background here that it is loading and optimizing the drivers. So once that's complete, it'll actually ask you to reboot to finalize all of that. So just like a normal Windows installation. So after this reboot, you'll come back into the machine. You'll set up your IP address. Your static IP address on the machine to connect it to the network, and you're ready to go. The client's back in business, ready to do their normal operations.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. And just let you guys know, if you guys have, and as we go through and finish up for today, if you guys have any questions, we're always here and available for you guys. So we appreciate that. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. We have a few next steps. You can go to our website and register for more webinars. Please go find Servosity on social media. We tweet, we Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and we would love to be a part of your circle on Google+. Also, please reach out to us if you have any questions, just want some general advice, or just to figure out what works best for you. And don't worry, I won't tell you anything unless you want me to. Again, thank you for joining us. Joel and my contact information is on the screen. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.